Dozens of Russian contract soldiers were reportedly killed in a U.S.-led airstrike. The U.S. military saying it launched airstrikes last week after a coalition base came under attack in eastern Syria. Now, the possibility of conflict between countries like the U.S. and Russia, a growing concern as the battlefield becomes crowded in Syria. Here is CIA Director Mike Pompeo just yesterday.
From an intelligence perspective, we have seen in multiple instances foreign forces using mercenaries in battles that will begin to approach the United States.
Joining me now is retired four-star General Jack Keane, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. General Keane, always great to see you.
Good to see you, Julie.
How much of a target are U.S. troops after these Syrian strikes?
Yeah, very much so. I'm a little surprised by it. There's been some smaller attacks here, but this is so our audience understands. This is a battalion-led Russian attack, likely by their soft forces, with some other Russians in the battalion formation, 500 to 600 people, using hybrid mercenary forces, color them Russians anyway, and their purpose was to take down a U.S.-led coalition base in eastern Syria. That is very, very significant. Now, why are they doing this? Well, first of all, the strategic framework inside Syria is the Russians and the Iranians have successfully propped up the Assad regime indefinitely. Now they're trying to consolidate those gains. They permitted the U.S.-led forces to deal with ISIS territory, but now they want the U.S. out of Syria. They actually want the U.S. out of the Middle East. We just changed some priorities, Julie.
Yeah.
We prioritized Afghanistan over Syria, and we took some resources out of there, particularly some intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance resources, drones and the like. So that made this base probably a little bit more vulnerable, which drives to your question, why now? Because they believed they could do it and they could get away with it.
Yeah, well, they're not going to get away with it, that's for sure. You know, I just want to, first of all, you know, I understand that Iranians want to drive the U.S. out of Syria. That is nothing new. The question is, what is our military strategy now with Russia wanting the U.S. out as well, especially considering the increased tension due to the deaths of these Russian soldiers in these strikes?
Well, first of all, what we have got to say is not downplay this incident. We got to upplay this incident. And we got to make certain that the Russians clearly understand that their use of hybrid forces, like they did in Crimea and also successfully in the Ukraine, that we're going to hold Russia accountable for the use of those forces. And it's not enough just to defend our forces. We're going to attack you if you attack us again.
Of course.
You have resources inside this country. That's what we've got to do. And look, this is even more complicated because the Iranians feel a certain hubris about their gains in Syria. And we know for a fact that they're encroaching on Israel. And that's what led to the altercation that you reported on just recently between the Iranians and the Israelis. And we've got the Turks up in the northwestern sector pushing into Syria and potentially being involved again with U.S.-led coalition forces. It's a bit of a free-for-all. This is a very complicated, tough situation.
And, you know, you just mentioned Iranians encroaching on Israel. And just to go beyond that, with Russia and Iran trying to dislodge the U.S., then what does our strategy now need to be with our Arab allies? Because now more than ever is what we need to do. And that is obviously turn to our Arab allies in order to now strategize against not only Iran and Russia.
Yes, well, our administration recognizes that, and they're engaged in efforts putting together some kind of an effort with our Sunni Arab friends, obviously, and the Israelis play a role in that, certainly with intelligence. The reality is, I think, given Iran's very aggressive, malign behavior in the region, desiring a hegemony region that they're running, and using the windfall of the nuclear deals, sanction money, to be able to actually fund all of this, I think it's time for an Arab NATO where the United States helps to participate in this, to stand up against the Iranians and also now the Russians who are trying to move the United States out and certainly take advantage of our allies in the region.
We have to give U.S. troops credit where credit is due, and that is their success in Syria, despite the fact that, you know, much of our focus has switched to Afghanistan. ISIS fighters have been successfully defeated in Syria. The problem, as you say, despite all of that, Syria is about to get worse, not get better.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear about what actually we did. We took the territory that ISIS owned in Syria away from them. and most of them are now hiding in southeastern Syria along the Euphrates River Valley. Sources indicate that in Iraq and Syria, there's still 15,000 ISIS fighters, so they're not defeated. We did reclaim the lost territory, and that is why the administration, I think, made the right decision to keep forces inside of Syria and not walk out of there, because ISIS would reemerge just as the al-Qaeda reemerged in Iraq when we abandoned Iraq in 2011 based on President Obama's decision.
All right. General Jack Keane, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on, as always.
Yeah, good talking to you, Julie.
Eric.
Well, Julie, there's another tragedy for law enforcement.